Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Scandal. And Olivia is still dealing with her PTSD, which she should be. And we're getting a lot of flashbacks and memories of her and Fitz and her throwing that ring that she threw a few episodes back at him. And we find out later on in the episode in a flashback that this is a ring that he gave to Olivia back when she quit after he was elected president. And, I'm watching that scene and it was a good scene. And anytime that Fitz and Olivia have these flashback memories, I always kind of get all like swoony because I love their chemistry. But of course, the fangirl and the nerd and the continuity person in me was like, really? Was she always wearing this ring? So I went back to the very first episode and watched to see if she was wearing a ring. And she was. So was it the exact same ring? They don't really give you a close enough shot to see if it's the same ring, but I'm assuming that that is what they're trying to say, is that she's been wearing this ring all along. We just really didn't pay attention to it. And now she's taking it off because she's so disappointed and upset with Fitz. But of course, by the end of the episode, it's back on her finger. So, I there was a part of me that was like, really, has she been wearing this ring this whole time and we've never seen it? And it turns out she was. So, or at least in some episodes she was. But yes, she has still been dealing with her PTSD and, waking up in cold sweats and nightmares, sort of waking up after having these nightmares about being locked away and having all these visions of her and Fitz and stuff like that. So she's still not dealing with everything that's been going on with her. Now, we didn't get any continuation of the little romp she had in last week's episode, which I kind of enjoyed. So we didn't really get a follow up to that in this episode. We did get a lot of Cyrus in this episode, and it was all about him getting married to Michael. And Michael, as we all know, is the man that Cyrus was hooking up with in the very beginning of season 4, and then we found out that he was really not really was he was lying about who he was, and he was sort of like trying to set up Cyrus and get like these risque photos. But they've been together this whole time because they made it seem like the two of them were going to move in together, but they've really been living separate. And Cyrus hates him and he hates Cyrus. And he gets caught with hooking up with some guy at a bar, and then they make it sound like it's a bachelor party. So, of course, Olivia's on the case and she's there to fix the Cyrus problem. And so she pretty much tells him the only way that this is going to go away, the only way you can change the news cycle is if you get married. So we spend a lot of this episode on Cyrus and whether they're going to destroy Michael or whether they're going to just play it up like he was having a wild night at a bachelor party, he cheated on Cyrus or whatever. And Olivia, sorry, uses this opportunity to go to Mellie and say, listen, this is going to help your campaign in running for senator if you back Cyrus and this gay wedding and you have it and you host it at the White House, and you can have your own views separate from Fitz's. And when you go to run, in 2016, then this will be great on your platform. And it's a divisive subject that, obviously the Republican Party has a huge issue with, and I'm sure many Democrats do too, but she tries to tell Mellie that this is going to work in your favor if you support Cyrus. So she does. And then, of course, Lizzie Bear isn't happy in the beginning because she's supposed to be her campaign manager and she never ran it by her, but she falls quickly in line when Mellie basically tells her, look, you work for me, you do what I say, and that's that. So, yeah, we got a lot of flashbacks of Cyrus in this episode back to his very first wedding, which we've never really seen before. And that was pretty much, a facade, and she was his beard. And even on his wedding day, it looked like one of his best man, maybe his groomsman, was like, hey, so you want to go play some racquetball? And I think we all know what racquetball meant. So Cyrus was like, you need to stay away from me and my wife. And he was pretty much just using her as a safety net and to get politically further in his career. So when he says he wanted to run and for a bid for, I think it was senator or Congress. You know, he wanted her to stay with him, and she was like, "I'm out because this is just, I'm not happy." So then, of course, the next wedding he gets into is with Kevin, and I'm sorry, and we all know how that turned out. He did love him, and it was just lies after lies, though, in that relationship. And I really did like the conversation he had with Michael, because obviously we see the dinner that Michael's parents attend with Cyrus and him, and they're basically just being paid by Elizabeth, who is Lizzie Bear, to be there. And you know, they're just horrible to him, and obviously Cyrus is seeing this, and he realizes, you know, that Michael isn't a bad guy, that he's basically had crappy parents and had a crappy upbringing, and you know, he kind of feels bad for him in that moment. And he just looked like this sad sap. Like, he just couldn't even, he's this tall, big guy, and he was just like wilting away at the table. Like, his parents were just bashing him, and he was just taking it. And it was really hard to watch. But, you know, sometimes parents just aren't great. And so Cyrus has a great conversation with him, and he says, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't going to be a marriage of love. Like, I'm not going to fall in love with you. You're not going to fall in love with me. But my last two weddings, you know, were started off with lies. And with this wedding, I can't hurt you. Like, there's nothing I can do that's going to really hurt you. I can't destroy you. I can't, you know, I don't have to worry about you not liking me for the decisions I make, because you don't already. So I thought it was a really good conversation that was had. It was very honest, and it was real. And it was probably the realest conversation that the two of them had. And then, of course, Michael then crawled into his arms and started crying again. And it was really cute, but it was kind of like, dude, grow up here. So, but yeah, so that was really good. And then, of course, we had, of course, after we saw the flashback between Olivia and Fitz, she goes now to the White House to ask Fitz for a favor, and we don't really know what it is, but she hands him a piece of paper, he signs it, she walks away, and he notices that she's not wearing the ring on her finger. And later on, we find out that, oh my goodness, how am I forgetting her name? The old VP, now Sally Langston, has her own talk show, and she is sassy as ever, and she is just wreaking havoc everywhere. So she was going to drop a bomb, and she wanted to give $10,000 to anybody who could prove that Cyrus and Michael's wedding is a sham, and that, you know, Michael is really just a whore, and that he's just all these horrible things. And she was actually going to get a man to come on her program to who was actually seeing Michael for about 7 months, and to just blow up the spot for Cyrus. And of course, Olivia goes to confront her the first time and is like, look, I can make you Secretary of State, and you know, you can stop doing this little this measly job, and you can do what you really should be doing, and you can make your run for president in 2016. And she's all like, I don't want that. This is my platform now. This is where I need to be. This is where I have a voice. I have almost 4 million viewers. And you're just like, that's right. Sally is right where she wants to be. She is killing it on her little TV show, and she finally has a voice, which she never had as VP and will never really have as Secretary of State in her mind. So, of course, Olivia then goes back the second time, and she says to her, well, listen, Michael gave us his little call sheet and a list of all of his lovers, and your husband was on that list. So Sally quickly backs down from her little interview and tries to save face. But I'm sure this isn't the last we're going to see of Sally Langston and her very provocative, conservative news program. And I really like that. We also got a little bit more of Leo and Abby in this episode. So we hadn't seen Leo in, I don't know, like all of the episodes this season, pretty much. And now we're just seeing him back to back to back. And I don't have a problem with it, because I actually really like him and his dynamic with Abby. Do I trust Leo? No. Do I like Leo and the chemistry that they have? Yes. I think he's got great banter. He's got great lines. And, you know, he even was the one leaking information to Sally at one point. And then, of course, Abby went into his phone and found out who she was going to get to come on as her special guest to blow up Cyrus's spot. So I like, you know, those guys are really tit for tat. They're, you know, she's all like church and state, because obviously she works for the president and he's going to do whatever is best serving for himself. And if that is blowing up Abby and her people, he doesn't really care. So, I really like how those two are playing off each other. We didn't get any follow up with Huck in this episode and his craziness from last week's episode. And Quinn was also very quiet in this episode. So, it was a little bit, I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite episodes of the season. But, seeing Cyrus in the spotlight wasn't bad. And seeing Olivia still dealing with all of her issues. And then, of course, at the end, after she wakes up from, I think, her second nightmare, she runs into her family room and she's looking all over the place in her jewelry box and in this box and that box for the ring. And she finally dumps over a little, kind of like a flower pot, and she put the ring in there, and she has this like sense of relief on her when she finds it. So, what does this mean, guys? Does this mean she's going to go back to Fitz? I don't know. But I'm glad that the show has been giving them a little bit of a break. We haven't really seen them together in a while because, hello, like she was kidnapped for 3 episodes, then she's been back for 3 episodes, and she has not been very pleased with Fitz. So, we haven't really seen them together very much, and that's fine. I'm very fine with that. But, whenever we get those flashbacks to like the yesteryears when they were all really cute together, I don't have a problem with that because they always reveal some good pieces of information. Okay, guys, let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.